Welcome to a special episode of Drive, where we will journey into the future of driving. Tonight on Drive TV, we're taking a close look at your motoring future, where innovation is right at home in your garage. It's a future where electric vehicles are no longer a compromise with internal combustion. They are specifically designed to be electric. G'day, Trent Nikolic with you, and welcome to a very special episode of Drive. Thanks for joining us, and in the next hour, we're going to take a look at some pioneers and some front runners in the electric vehicle space in the automotive market in Australia. We'll also have a closer look at a new hybrid system from Nissan that isn't quite like the hybrid system you might be used to. And we're going to spend some time exploring brands like MG, Toyota, Kia and Volvo, who are telling us they have ambitions of sustainability beyond simply selling electric vehicles. But the focus of this episode is electric vehicles, and not just vehicles that happen to be electric. These are electric vehicles that are born from the ground up. Now join us as we make the move and shift gears from our studio to the racetrack. Yes, that's right, the racetrack, because we're going to talk about handling, acceleration and performance, and we're going to look at some of the innovation in these electric vehicles that makes them so important in the shift to electrification in Australia. But it's not all about the drive either. We'll take a look at the design and the aesthetics and some of the things that will change about the appearance of the electric vehicle into the future. And crucially, we'll also take a look at that last important piece of the puzzle that completes the electric vehicle ownership experience, like MG's Charge Hub app. And let's not forget the clever engineering and development that has gone into regenerative braking, an electric vehicle feature that's not only efficient, but transforms the way your car generates energy on the move. Throughout the show, we'll put the spotlight on the unique features that set these vehicles apart and talk about their importance in the ever-growing electric vehicle segment in Australia. So settle in as we give you a glimpse into your electric future. This is Drive Electric. It's the show where you don't just witness the electric vehicle revolution, you get to experience it.
The views are out of this world.
This thing is unbelievable. It sounds incredible.
Golly gee, everybody, look at that.
The Nissan Leaf is one of the vehicles that kick-started the segment before our eyes and has been updated over that time with an extended range and a second generation, all while being built from the ground up on a dedicated electric vehicle platform. The Nissan Leaf was a trailblazer of the electric vehicle revolution, but the Nissan EV story doesn't end there. Nissan has strengthened its commitment to electric mobility even further with the release of the Nissan Ariya in overseas markets. According to Nissan, the Ariya isn't just a new model, it's a declaration of Nissan's vision for an electric future. First uncovered at the 2019 Tokyo Motor Show, the twin electric motor EV crossover was a bold step forward from Leaf's compact hatch design. With the Ariya, Nissan delivers on the promise of a dedicated electric future, blending performance, efficiency and sharp design into a package that looks fantastic from any angle. From the pioneering Leaf to the innovative Ariya, Nissan intends to continue its commitment to driving the evolution of the electric vehicle, yet another indicator that the future we've imagined isn't just coming, it's already here. And that's the exciting thing about the essence of this journey to electrification. It's a constant journey of improvement and innovation. And like we've seen with Nissan, manufacturers use these new platforms as they move into the future, because an all-new platform paves the way for a swathe of new models that come thereafter. We're venturing off the beaten track a little now and going back to where modern electrification started. And while we're going to show you Toyota's first ground-up electric vehicle, let's not forget the tremendous legacy of Toyota's innovation in hybrid technology. You've heard the phrase millions of taxi drivers can't be wrong, and that industry has chosen hybrids for a very good reason. But let's switch focus to a brand that's been part of the electric vehicle revolution since the very beginning. That's right, we're talking about Nissan, And Nissan is plugging into, sorry, but I had to use that line, a new future with a hybrid system, but it's not the hybrid system you might have expected. This isn't your traditional hybrid. It's a different take on the concept, and it's a bridge between what we know and what electric vehicles can deliver. You've probably all heard that weird turn of phrase that Aussies like to use, that you can't be half pregnant. But it seems you can be half electric, and the Nissan X-Trail e-Power, to give it its full title that I'm driving now, effectively is that, and it's really quite interesting. Nissan has put into this vehicle electric motors that drive the wheels, so effectively feels like driving an electric car. However, it has a petrol engine that runs like a generator. So you fill up a tank with petrol that runs that petrol engine, acts as a generator, charges the battery pack, and then the electric motors that drive the car get their power from that battery pack. So the petrol engine never drives the wheels directly. It's a little bit of a different take on a regular hybrid system, which is a closed loop and just does what it does, and you don't really have anything to do with it, and you don't know what's happening or when the electric motors are doing their thing and when they're not. This is, to all extents and purposes, an electric vehicle in terms of what it's like to drive. It's how it gets its power that's a little bit different from a full EV that doesn't have a petrol tank or a petrol generator. But what the X-Trail e-Power does do is offer a solution for any of you who are watching right now thinking, I really want to get an electric vehicle. I'm interested in the way they drive. I'm interested in the way they work, but we're a one-car family. We travel long distances frequently. We need flexibility. I'm not yet sure that I can buy an EV. I can't currently charge at home where I live because I'm renting or whatever it might be. This offers you a step towards a fully electric vehicle without going all the way. What is really, really strange though, and you need to get used to it when you're driving, especially if you're driving around a racetrack like we have been today, is that you'll often hear the petrol generator doing what it's doing. So you'll hear a petrol engine kind of operating like a petrol engine, but it's not related to anything that's going on at the tyres because they're being driven by electric motors. So they feel and they respond like an electric vehicle. So this is actually really quite quick and punchy for a mid-size SUV like this is, but you just get that slightly different take on the propulsion method. And I really do like what Nissan's done here, because I think for a lot of Australians right now, and a lot of you watching this right now will be thinking, not quite ready yet to go full EV, need that little bit of a safety net. Well, the X-Trail e-Power provides you with that safety net, but gives you a genuine sense of what driving an electric vehicle is going to be like when you make your next purchase down the track, which probably will be fully electric. But Nissan isn't alone on this journey, of course. All manufacturers are looking at what they call electric mobility. And gears are changing, things are shifting, development is moving, and the horizon for electric vehicles and what manufacturers call future mobility is broadening every day. With longer ranges, faster charging time, and a surge toward renewable energy, we're not just driving cars, we're driving change. Join us after the break for more of the Drive EV special, and don't forget everything you need to know about the cars we're driving today. They're over at drive.com.au. Welcome back. You're watching Drive EV, the show that'll tell you everything you need to know about ground-up specific electric vehicle platforms and everything else you need to know about all the electric vehicles currently on sale in Australia. It's over at drive.com.au. From the standard setters in efficient hybrid technology, it's time to take a leap into Toyota's vision of the future right now. Meet the all-electric Toyota BZ4X, and Toyota reckons every journey is more than just getting from A to B. It's an experience, a statement, and a look into the future. According to Toyota, this isn't just another EV, it's actually an extension to your life. The BZ4X is as practical as it is versatile, and it's available in two-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. Step inside the cabin of the BZ4X and you'll find a quiet, premium environment where space and amenity meet up-to-date technology. It's not just about space though. As we know with electric vehicles, It's the sense of insulated comfort you experience inside the cabin.
Now, Toyota has a 2-decade foundation of hybrid technology, and you would expect that the brand's first full EV would be as reliable and robust as we have come to expect from the brand. But Toyota tells us it isn't all about that. This is also a tranquil driving experience. So it's quiet inside the cabin, as we'd expect from an EV, providing you with a really relaxed experience.
Built on the dedicated eTNGA platform, the new BZ4X delivers everything we expect from a Toyota in terms of the way it drives. Stable, comfortable, and enjoyable on any road surface.
But it's not just confined to the tarmac either. As you'd expect from an all-wheel drive Toyota, this vehicle is as capable off-road as it is on. So this has got X mode and grip control, meaning that it's ready to tackle some unsealed surfaces.
For a manufacturer like Toyota, safety isn't an option, it's a non-negotiable. That's why the BZ4X gets all the advanced safety features you'd expect, ensuring that you're as safe as possible either behind the wheel or as a passenger.
Toyota's transition to electrification began with standard-setting hybrid vehicles, and of course we've also seen the company develop the hydrogen fuel cell Mirai as well, but BZ4X is its first full electric vehicle, and according to Toyota, this is just the beginning.
Fair to say we've waited quite a while for what I'm doing right now. What's so special, you ask? Well, this is a fully electric Toyota that I'm driving, and to think we've experienced a hydrogen Toyota before we've driven an electric Toyota is telling you something about the brand and its determination to release an electric vehicle to market that's on its own specific platform that doesn't just do what an electric vehicle needs to do, but does what Toyota expects its vehicles to do and what a buyer would expect a Toyota to do. This looks and feels very premium. It's got a real premium insulated edge to it. When you drive it, it's comfortable, it's quiet. The ride particularly is good. We've driven it on some pretty poor country roads and the ride is really good. And that's another thing about these specific electric vehicle platforms. When you are working off an internal combustion engine vehicle and you're trying to make that electric, there's a lot of compromises that need to be made with the inherent weight that comes with an electric vehicle. There's a heavy battery pack. There's certain places that you can't position it when you're messing around with a platform that was originally either petrol or diesel powered. When it's ground up, you can do and position and move things around wherever you want them to be. And I think the BZ4X really does benefit from that because the ride especially and the comfort when you're out on the road is fantastic. It does feel very premium. And I really like the way Toyota's executed it. Now, you won't be able to get into one of these for $23,990 like you would have with an internal combustion engine vehicle and get yourself a bargain. You cannot fault the brand for the way it's approached what it's needed to do with this vehicle and the execution of it. This is a really high quality electric vehicle. I think Australians are going to love it. And it's exactly what we would expect from Toyota with all of the benefits that come from designing a vehicle from the ground up to be electric powered.
Luxury. This is the love life. So nice. So nice.
As we wrap up our time with Toyota's first bold step into its new future, make sure you stay charged for what's up next. We'll be back with one of our favourites, the Kia EV6.
Luxury.
Welcome back. You're watching Drive EV, the show that'll tell you everything you need to know about ground-up specific electric vehicle platforms and everything else you need to know about all the electric vehicles currently on sale in Australia. It's over at drive.com.au. When Kia first launched the eye-catching EV6, it wasn't just a new car from a brand already kicking goals in Australia. It was a statement, a bold declaration that Kia was set to make its mark on the electric vehicle segment.
When Kia released the EV6, it would have been easy to think it was all about style because this is a seriously attractive electric vehicle. But it's not just a style and design execution. This is the epitome of technology, performance and comfort. And according to Kia, it's just the beginning because the EV5 and EV9 are hot on its heels.
Let's move this conversation to where it belongs though. We're heading to the racetrack.
There's obviously a lot of talk about insulation, refinement, and what the drive experience is like when you're inside an electric vehicle. And something like the Kia EV6 that I'm driving now is a perfect example of where a platform-up design has allowed the designers and the engineers to really go to work and come up with a vehicle that is impressive across so many different disciplines. Now, obviously, any electric vehicle needs to be practical to drive every day, because otherwise, what's the point of buying one? And the EV6 is that. This is effectively a large vehicle. There's a bit of argument about whether it's a large SUV or a large car. Doesn't really matter. It's effectively physically large. There's a lot of room in it. It's comfortable and it's very practical, especially for family buyers. There's a lot of room in the second row, useful luggage space. And across the EV6 range, you get a driving range that makes sense for a lot of buyers. But crucially for me, what the platform-up design has allowed is a complete rethink of what you might expect inside a Kia, because there's familiarity here to other model Kias, but this is unlike any other Kia you would have driven. If you're coming out of a Carnival or a Sorento, Sportage, or maybe something like a Cerato, you're going to sit in this EV6 and think, wow, okay, this is a blank sheet design. This started from scratch. And when you speak to the engineers, it's that has allowed them to bring to the table a vehicle that, yes, is a Kia, yes, has the warranty, yes, has all of the ownership benefits that we'd expect from the brand, but is very, very different when you're driving it. Now, on that point, if I said to you that you could buy a vehicle at a pinch under $100,000 before on-road costs, that did 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds, was all-wheel drive, that made 430 kilowatts and an enormous 740 newton meters, surely you would say that that vehicle is a bargain. And that's the case with this Kia EV6, because of course we're in the GT, which means you get this little green button here, and if you press that, you can feel it all of a sudden. It unleashes all of that power. And if I tip it into these twisties here, I can feel the all-wheel drive system working. When you speak to Kia's engineering team, they have managed to redesign the suspension, retune it, so that it is capable of dealing with all those nasty surfaces that you get on the road, but also being comfortable and being capable out here on a racetrack. So this car is very, very quick, and it's actually surprisingly easy to drive quick. You do know that it's heavy, and you've got to deal with a little bit of that weight when you're tipping it into corners, and especially under braking. But the fact that this vehicle is as capable as it is for under $100,000 before on-road costs is absolutely staggering, and it's yet another example of why a platform-up design gives a manufacturer and the engineering team a whole suite of options that it otherwise wouldn't have had if it had to compromise with an internal combustion platform and then adapt that to electric power.
The EV6 we have here is the GT model grade, and this isn't just an electric vehicle, this is a proper performance powerhouse. The GT model grade isn't just about speed, fast though it is, it's as much about practical daily commuting and the way you can integrate an electric vehicle into your regular daily drive.
Performance electric cars like the Kia GT are obviously quick, but it's not all about the rush. Safety is also paramount. Now, keep in mind that the Kia EV6 range gets a full 5-star ANCAP safety rating, except the GT, which is untested. But across the range, there's all the included safety gear that you'd expect from Kia.
It's the electric innovation, though, that sets the EV6 apart from a regular petrol or diesel vehicle, innovation that points to the future right now.
Join us after the break for more of the Drive EV special, and don't forget everything you need to know about the cars we're driving today. They're over at drive.com.au. Welcome back. You're watching Drive EV, the show that'll tell you everything you need to know about ground-up specific electric vehicle platforms and everything else you need to know about all the electric vehicles currently on sale in Australia. It's over at drive.com.au.
MG has made a serious statement with the MG4, and some of the technology beneath the skin takes the electric vehicle movement even further. This isn't just studio trickery in action, it's V2L, or vehicle-to-load technology as it's called, in action.
Now, this vehicle-to-load technology might sound like something out of the Jetsons. It's a little bit futuristic, but it's a glimpse into a future that motoring manufacturers have been telling us about for years, and that means that your car could power your house. Imagine during a storm outage or heavy weather when the whole suburb's blacked out, you don't have a problem because your vehicle is powering your house. And yes, it can do silly things like charge your electric lawnmower and stuff like that, but in some instances, this could be a lifesaver, or it could save you a hell of a lot of money in things that you'd have to throw out if you're without power for a while. So it's future technology that's happening right now. Now, you've heard us say this before, but these two MGs that I'm standing next to, they really are game changers. First of all, they're among the more affordable electric vehicles on the market. That's really important for Australian consumers. You do have different battery packs available and therefore different ranges as well. And in the case of the MG4 X-Power, this is a serious performance car, 320 kilowatts and a whopping 600 Newton meters. Now, before I get behind the wheel of these two MGs, let's find out a little bit more detailed information directly from the source. Let's first have a chat to MG. Do the specific ground-up platforms that we're talking about here for electric vehicles allow you to be more flexible with the type of vehicles that you have? We've talked about small hatchbacks and maybe small SUVs or medium SUVs, but there's a number of different vehicles that you can build off one platform. So does that provide you at a manufacturing level with a lot of flexibility?
The MSP modular scalable platform is what the MG4 is built on, and this is our first vehicle that's been built on this platform. And what we get with that is we get a rear-wheel drive, we get a hatchback that's got a lower center of gravity, but it hasn't got intrusions. It feels open and spacious inside because you don't have traditional tunnels going through the middle of the car. But one of the other really important things I think with EV that might get overshadowed is it's actually really, really quiet and peaceful inside. The benefits that you have are great handling car, lower center of gravity, and being able to then position the batteries in the vehicle where they belong, which is lower, integrated within the floor. You can put the wheels in the corners, and then it comes together in a great package. MG has been around since 1924. The EVs have not been, but the team have been working for a long, long time on this platform to make sure that they come to market with something that is going to hit the mark really well. Australia is a very important market for the brand as well. So they've been really constructive and taking on feedback with things like ride quality to make sure that then when we did get this vehicle, that we got a vehicle that was fit for the conditions that we have here. Not just for the roads, but also then for hot weather testing and make sure that we can cope where we've got the long range that can bridge that gap between hard to reach cities.
Obviously, MG's delivered these cars at an affordable price, but when you get inside, you close the door, it feels like a really premium experience. It's quiet, it's insulated. Is that something that is important, that you've been able to deliver that at a cost-effective price?
We wanted to make electric vehicles affordable for everybody, which is our stance and our position, and we want to keep continuing that forward. With the vehicle, the interior is the time that we spend the most of our driving experience in. So really important things for us are tactiles, so the steering wheel, and you'll notice that we have a leather-wrapped steering wheel in the vehicle. Also, the controls are functional, easy to navigate, easy to get to. It's great to see that the adoption in Australia to EVs, a country that it has got some geographical challenges, has been so strong in the last couple of years. So we're really excited to see more EVs on the road, to be able to bring premium products like that through into customers at an affordable entry price.
Now on to the fun stuff, mate. We hear a lot about these terms like vehicle to load, vehicle to grid. There's a lot of people watching at the moment who don't understand what this new terminology is, and it allows us to think of the vehicle as more than just a way of getting from A to B.
With the vehicle to load, you can use it for a wide range of applications. We've had customers tell us stories about using it in remote locations for powering tools on their properties. We've also used it at South Sydney Rabbitohs, the club which we sponsor, for just a bit of fun to power a ball launcher for the team during the training session. So that
you really can power anything.
Join us after the break for more of the Drive EV special, and don't forget everything you need to know about the cars we're driving today. They're over at drive.com.au. Welcome back. You're watching Drive EV, the show that'll tell you everything you need to know about ground-up specific electric vehicle platforms and everything else you need to know about all the electric vehicles currently on sale in Australia. It's over at drive.com.au. First things first with the MG4. As a platform, this is a really, really good electric vehicle, but we'll get to a little bit more about that in a second because we're going to step through two models. The one I'm driving right now is the MG4 Excite with the 51 kilowatt hour battery pack. So this is the most affordable way into the MG4 range. The first point to make is let's have a round of applause for MG for bringing this vehicle into Australia under $40,000 before on-road costs, because as we keep saying, and you'll hear me say this often, if it wasn't for manufacturers like MG, there would be no affordable electric vehicles on sale in Australia. And this MG4 is absolutely the example of that we talk about. Now, even at the entry grade, as you step into the MG4 range, if you are on a tight budget that doesn't extend beyond the Excite with the 51 kilowatt hour battery, you're still getting a really impressive vehicle. A lot of the technology is still there, the fit, the finish, the trim, the sense of premium inside the cabin. This is really quiet, it's refined, it's well designed, and it doesn't feel like you've had to make a budget decision, because often with affordable vehicles, you're left thinking, well, I really wish I could have gone one or two model grades higher because I don't feel excited or I don't feel rewarded so much. I feel like I've bought the car just purely because I'm on a budget. That's not the case with the MG4. This is particularly well put together. And as you can probably hear while I'm driving around now, very quiet in here, very insulated, which we expect from an electric vehicle, but it's still a point worth making. Now, once again, the fact that this is a ground-up platform means that despite the fact it's quite a diminutive vehicle physically outside, it has quite a lot of space inside. There's quite a bit of room inside the front part of the cabin, and it doesn't really matter how tall or short you are, you can get into a good position behind the wheel. I really like the driver's display. It's not massive, but it does what you need it to do, and I like the fact that you can set yourself up. I'm at a nice distance from the steering wheel, really good visibility, and then there's still plenty of room behind you and into the luggage area as well. So what it allows you to do is, especially if you're a one-car family and this has to do everything that you need it to do within reason, the MG4 Excite will do that for you because it's very practical space-wise. The other point to make, when you talk about an EV-specific platform, it means that a manufacturer can make changes with the battery pack and the electric motors. So this has the 51 kilowatt hour battery pack, which gives you 350 kilometres of driving range. MG can change that up or down depending on what it wants to do, but with this specification, brings it in at an affordable price point. And the MG4 we're going to step into after this, well, that'll show you what a platform up design allows a manufacturer to do if they really want to turn up the fun factor. Tell you what I love about this MG4. Well, there's a couple of things, but I'll tell you what I love mostly. I'm in an MG4, and I've just told you how flexible, versatile, practical, comfortable, useful the MG4 Excite 51 kilowatt hour is. Well, I'm in another MG4, but this is completely different. It's like Jekyll and Hyde, because this is the MG4 X-Power. You get all of those things that I just explained about the regular MG4. And keep in mind, this still isn't ridiculously expensive. This starts just under $60,000 for this car I'm driving now. You get all of that practicality that I've just listed about the regular MG4. But let me reel some numbers off here for you. 3.8 seconds. That's how long it takes this car to get from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. That number alone, you're talking Porsche 911 or super sports car levels of acceleration. In a regular car that you can drive every day to the shops, to work, do your groceries, all those things. Then 320 kilowatts and 600 Newton meters.
Now, if you're wondering why we're saying a platform up design makes so much sense, it's this, because this is exactly the same MG4 platform that I was just driving before, but with an enormous amount of power and torque. And the reason that a manufacturer like MG is able to do it is because all they have to do within this platform is up or lower the battery power, up or lower the electric motor performance. Now, driving this car is the equivalent of a manufacturer that makes the same vehicle with a 4-cylinder just one morning saying, well, we might put a V10 or a turbocharged V8 between the front wheels and make it go 3 times faster. But as you know, that's often physically impossible, certainly in an engineering and a packaging sense, with a lot of regular vehicles. I mean, this is a small hatchback. Imagine trying to put an enormous engine practically inside a small hatchback. Yet with this vehicle, MG's been able to say, that's our 0 to 100 target, that's our power output, that's our torque output, these are the numbers we want to hit, let's just package it within the same MG4 platform. And the result is everything that you get that's so practical about the regular MG4, but almost absurd levels of performance. I mean, this thing is like it's fired out of a cannon when you launch it, and when you do a hot lap around a racetrack, it is staggering how quick this car is. So MG is able to capture both ends of the market with the one platform. It's genius when you think about it, and it's flexibility that this move to electrification has allowed manufacturers to have. But for me, again, I think the point worth making with all of that fun in your mind is the fact that you could just throw the keys to this car to anyone and say, off you go, that's how you put it in drive, and just drive it completely normally like I am now. It's absolutely genius engineering, it's genius execution, and it's why the MG4, regardless of the model that you choose, is such an impressive vehicle.
Join us after the break for more of the Drive EV special, and don't forget everything you need to know about the cars we're driving today. They're over at drive.com.au. Welcome back. You're watching Drive EV, the show that'll tell you everything you need to know about ground-up specific electric vehicle platforms and everything else you need to know about all the electric vehicles currently on sale in Australia. It's over at drive.com.au. Volvo is a brand that's long been synonymous with safety, but it's now navigating a path towards a future of sustainability. And with a goal of net zero greenhouse emissions and circular business practices by 2040, Volvo's not just changing the way that it manufactures vehicles, but it's changing the way it exists in the automotive industry. Now we're joined by a special guest from Volvo who's going to explain not just the seismic shifts in manufacturing that are already happening, but also tell us about everything from the sourcing of materials to what happens to an electric vehicle when it reaches the end of its life.
Yeah, so for 2040, we've set 3 important ambitions for ourselves. First of all, regarding climate, we aim to be net zero by 2040. Net zero, what does that really mean? It means that you go through all your products, all your processes, all your operations, and do concrete actions to actually reduce CO2. You will realize at the very end that there will be some emissions that you really cannot do anything about. That could be safety components, which has to be in a certain material that you cannot re-engineer or replace. So with those final unavoidable emissions, you have to turn into what's called carbon removals. Projects with technology that actually sucks out CO2 out of the atmosphere to go to net zero, which means zero emissions from the whole company. It means everything through the so-called value chain, all the way from the mine to the suppliers, to the assembly operations, logistics for all the parts, the tailpipe emissions over a certain driving distance, of course, and then the servicing and the final scrapping of the car. So all that's included in that ambition. The second ambition we have is related to circular economy. For us, it's about reducing the use of primary resources. And then finally, it's about being a responsible business. Take care of your employees. Focusing on human rights, again, through the whole value chain. And then it's also to contribute to the society. All in all, that's our strategy. climate action, circular economy, and responsible business. But just now recently, we've ramped up the ambitions, and we've also, as you know, taken the decision to go fully electric as a company by 2030. If you look at an electric car, like the one you see here, of course, modern design and all that, but it's still got 4 wheels, it's still got about the same proportions, so you could think that maybe it's not that big of a deal. But it really, really is. I mean, you have to change almost all internal systems to make the car electric. First of all, you have to bring in a battery, weight around 500 kilos. That takes a lot of space, it must function. You have to take out the internal combustion engine, replace it with an electric motor, transmission change. You have a climate system that isn't an internal combustion engine dependent on the heat that comes from the engine. That's no longer possible. So you have to change the climate system. The air conditioner needs also to be replaced. So all the systems basically needs to be updated. And you should also know that an electric car has fewer parts. It's a good thing, obviously. If you assemble a internal combustion engine, if it takes 1 hour, you need 7 assembly workers for that. Same thing for an electric motor. One person can do that in 1 hour. So it's a 7-to-1 ratio in simplicity in the main engine. So those are some thoughts. I mean, it's a big deal to switch to electric. If you look at the past first, the composition of a car has actually not changed that much. It's 50% steel, 15% aluminum, 15% plastics, and then all the fluids and glass and so on. When electrifying, we will see an uptake in aluminum and we will see an uptake in copper. Looking into new materials, it is a challenge. There are so many different aspects of a material that needs to be taken into account, not at least safety. You would never put a new material that is not safe in a Volvo car, for example. You have to consider recycling from the very start. When you design the car, all batteries are going to be recycled. The metals and minerals in a battery are so valuable. So there is an industry for that already. It's also going to be required by regulation. In Europe, we have the battery directive again that will stipulate that you have to use recycled content in the batteries starting from 2030. You can recycle a car to almost 100% if you have enough time, if you have enough people, resources, but that hardly ever happens. But the materials and metals in cars, they are valuable. So cars are being recycled all over the world. The problem with car recycling today is that you normally put them in a frag, it's called a frag, which chops it all up into small pieces. And then you try to sort out the different materials. That degrades the material. And this is important because that makes the recycled material contain other types of metals. You mix steel with copper, for example. And that degradation prevents us from using the same material in the car. So very nice steel sheet metal from the car goes into rebars for construction. That is really a waste altogether. So what we're trying to do is to close the loop, so to say. And we have some examples on that today with aluminum sheet steel that goes back from our production, goes back to the supplier, comes back as aluminum sheet steel for us. That is the way forward. Next is for us, obviously, electrifying all cars and bring exciting electric cars to the market. And they are great cars. I mean, first of all, from my perspective, they are sustainable, more efficient, lower CO2. From the consumer perspective, I think they also appreciate the cost of ownership. I mean, the price of BEVs versus combustion engine cars are going to be the same in a few years. And when you look forward also to the servicing and the cost of refueling or recharging, you find cost benefits there as well. They are exciting to drive. The car you see here is actually not only our most sustainable Volvo, it's also our fastest Volvo when it goes to, from 0 to 100. Electric cars are silent, brings you peace of mind. They are already, and they will be more and more loaded with all kinds of infotainment things, apps that you bring down from internet. So it's going to be your new home. You will not want to leave the car in the future. So I think electric cars, they're so much better, so much more exciting, and we really at Volvo think that is the future.
What we've seen there isn't just a lineup of impressive vehicles, it's a roadmap to a more sustainable, responsible future. And while it might seem like it's the end of the road, it's actually the beginning of an exciting journey into the future. As we bring this episode of Drive EV to a close, we've seen the electrifying potential of the vehicles that you can see behind me. And
From an innovative design philosophy to advanced safety features and the incredibly useful prospect of vehicle-to-load capability, these electric vehicles aren't just redefining the way you get from A to B. They are reshaping our motoring world.
electric vehicles are changing. They were previously a niche, but they are very, very quickly becoming part of the mainstream. And the future, well, the horizon is very, very bright.
The future for electric vehicles, and exactly what that looks like, is as dynamic as the vehicles themselves. Longer driving range, faster charging times, and a diverse landscape of models that manufacturers tell us will be accessible to everyone. And that's without taking into account a future that includes alternative fuels, which continue to spark the imagination of engineers, designers, and enthusiasts alike, giving manufacturers new freedom in the way they can design and engineer a vehicle.
As we embrace these advancements, we also look to sustainable development and ethical manufacturing practices because, of course, electric vehicles aren't just about the vehicle themselves, they're about building a better world that we can live in. I'm Trent Nikolic. Thank you for joining us. It's been exciting to show you through some of the cutting-edge innovation that is in these electric vehicles behind me. But of course, the road doesn't end there, so join us again next time as we explore more innovation in the automotive manufacturing sector. And of course, everything that you've seen on this episode of Drive EV, you can find it over at drive.com.au.
Stay charged, stay curious, and keep driving into the future.
Are you ready to buy your next new vehicle? Well, the team at Drive can help you out. We have reviewed and driven all the new cars on sale in Australia at the moment to help you make a smart choice and buy the right new car for you. We've got cars for sale right now from reputable dealers over at drive.com.au. And of course, if you're ready to sell your car, we can help you with that too. Everything you need to know about buying or selling your car, it's over at drive.com.au.